The website Deadline performed an autopsy on late-night comedy's run under Trump, revealing the pathetic bubble the entertainment industry lives in. One showrunner said, after Trump, we deserve to have some frivolity, as if they didn't have enough. That's like Chris Cuomo saying he needs a bigger ego. Yet to them, writing anti-Trump yucks is as grueling as fighting fires or terrorists. What small people with huge blind spots? Before COVID, we had the strongest economy in modern history. After COVID, we're coming back. But we also had no new wars, and peace was breaking out all over, which leftists like Colbert or others should applaud. But they couldn't because the emotional trauma they experienced from a Trump personality mattered more than the real-world benefits of Trump's actual accomplishments. Who cares if young adults didn't die in combat or if household income rose by the thousands or if everyone got a job? Trump's kept Noah awake all night. Another writer moaned that post-Trump, she's looking forward to a diversity of thought, which means two thoughts. I hate Trump and I really miss hating Trump. I guess there weren't other things to laugh at.
Why aren't I 50 points ahead, you might ask?
What do the facts say?
The facts suggest that you
absolutely have a Native American ancestor in your pedigree.
Okay.
We choose truth over facts.
This is something you can get through the mail. Chocolate, and then we have some other chocolate here.
This guy Kalimnik keeps turning up again and again. Konstantin Kalimnik, Konstantin Kalimnik, Konstantin Kalimnik.
This was the actual swab that was being used.
No humor to be found there. Hell, my producer put that together in minutes. What 4 teams of late-night producers couldn't do in 4 years. But I guess those targets hit too close to home and their paychecks. So these elitist whiners who despised a president that put fewer body bags at our doorstep and more cash in your wallet are now relieved. They need frivolity not because they experienced any harm Trump did to the country. Trump put an owie on their psyches, and that's the biggest joke of all. So I'm excited, Dana. President Obama's going to be on Kimmel this week. I wonder who's going to get the rose.
Or what he'll reveal. I think it's pretty interesting. The Barack Obama book, I'm surprised it's created no buzz. Nothing. Like, there's no big news stories out of it. There are no big revelations.
Stick to the topic, Dana. We're bashing late-night comedy.
Oh, okay. Well, I wanted to point out that apparently even the far left is really disappointed in the, what's his name, Jim Carrey, characterization of Biden or impersonation. Yeah. They say it's not funny.
Yeah.
Because they said, like, it's just hero worship and they're bored by it.
Yeah. Jesse, I love how they pretend there was nothing else to poke fun of. You know?
Well, I mean, Trump was pretty funny, Greg. He tried to buy Greenland.
Yes.
I mean, he bought the Clemson.
Should have bought it.
He bought the Clemson football team $5,000 worth of fast food. I mean, he met with Kim Jong-un twice. I mean, the guy was a content machine, but it wasn't just that. He brought a whole cast of characters.
Right.
Remember the Mooch?
Yes.
You had Kellyanne, you had Sarah Sanders coming in, you had Melania, you had a whole team of people. Who's Biden bringing in? Hunter? They won't even go there.
Yes.
I mean, you can make some funny jokes about Kamala kind of conniving in the background. It's not that funny. I think Trump made late-night comedy great again, but the Five still beats all those guys in the ratings.
Of course.
And we don't even have writers.
No, we don't.
Imagine how funny I would be if I had a writer. I mean, I might have to look into that.
All right. So, Juan, they are looking forward to diversity. Aren't they responsible for the lack of diversity in the first place?
Well, I think if you clearly making fun of Trump, there's not much diversity in Trump's world. But anyway, I do think the big problem here is that Biden comes across, to me at least, as a normal guy. I mean, that he's on the Amtrak train in the night. He's a guy, you were talking about big politicians.
That was 20 years ago, Juan.
No, that's not 20. I've seen him on the train this year. So, I mean.
I rode the Amtrak with him last year.
So, I mean,
Did you really?
Got a selfie with him. He was shocked. He wanted to get away from me as fast as he could.
I retired.
But you were talking about, big-time politicians who use their influence, but his son went to war, went to Afghanistan, right?
Oh.
I mean, he suffered loss in his life. So I think the problem is he's boring, that he's normal. He's like a normal guy. And for a comedian, normal is not funny. What Jesse just laid out was a lot of stuff that you could make fun of even if you were a Trump fan.
So that's the problem, is that Joe Biden is so normal that you can't possibly make fun of him. There's nothing there, Kennedy, to make fun of.
You know what the funniest presidential impression was probably in the history of SNL, other than Daryl Hammond doing Clinton? Chevy Chase doing Gerald Ford.
Yeah.
Because he didn't try and look like him. He didn't try and sound like him. He just made him seem kind of dumb because he was a very ordinary, average president, and that's what made it so hysterical. The thing that offends me most about the late night writing over the last 4 years is it has been so unimaginative, and it has been the same joke rewritten and delivered with the same contempt in the same way, and there have been no boundaries that have been pushed here, and that's why for a lot of these shows, people have moved on to other content. People are more excited about what they can binge watch on Netflix than they are about, what Colbert said last night, because most people just don't care because they have rendered themselves irrelevant by this redundancy in their humor. And I think it's going to be very bad news for organizations, not just late night, but New York Times Digital and MSNBC and other places that have seen their ratings and subscribership quadruple during the Trump era. It could implode. So what is their answer for that going to be?
Well, as bad as late night TV is, it's still funnier than Ben Stiller. Would you agree? Still funnier than Ben Stiller.
Like, who would want to see Ben Stiller?
No, Ben Stiller is the least funny person alive, right?
Like,
right.
What's he even doing now?
I don't even know. Is he still in the entertainment industry?
I don't know. I haven't seen him in a long time.
I mean, I've heard Ben Stiller is still around. Is he doing infomercials?
Maybe, like on
Reverse mortgages, actually.
Yeah, he's doing reverse mortgages. Yes, exactly.